You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show, the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers, but we have Chris from Alabama.
Oh, what's going on, Ryan? Chris from Alabama, man. I sound raspy, man. I've been hollering the whole game, man. Lee, man. He's lucky as, oh my God, dude. Way to lose one, man, but you know what? If we happen to see these boys in the playoffs, they better know not. So Dan Campbell playing some dangerous games. I guarantee you, if they come across us again, he won't play them dangerous games they played, man. If they're going for it on fourth down and all that, it'll be a different story, man. Damn, man, that was a dog fight, man. We ain't come out on top. Look like we fighting for the 5 seed, man. I had a little hope for the division, man, but with that loss being swept by the Lions and them being 12-1 and us being 9-4, we pretty much chasing Minnesota at this point, chasing that 5, man. So, yep. Not saying that we can't do no damage on the road, but we're going to be road warriors, so it is what it is, man. Man, that's a tough loss, boy. That's a tough loss tonight, man. Oh, man. Yeah. Get ready for one next week. We got a battle in the Pacific Northwest next week, Sunday night football in Seattle, man. That ain't gonna be easy either. No. They fighting for their division as well, and playoffs as well. So just gotta shake this one out, man, and on to the next game, man. It's a tough loss, man, but the fight, I see the fight and the grit in the team. This was like a back and forth drag out. So, you know, for us to be there in the end, we just couldn't get it done. Defense couldn't get a stop when we needed one, man. It is what it is, though, man. But anyway, go Pack, go, man. I'm gonna talk to y'all later, man. Man. That was a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, and look, that's if we're being honest, that's pretty much what it's always been. I mean, there was an outside chance that we could have ended up winning the division, but it was, like I said, there's a 99% chance that we made the playoffs and a 1% chance we got, I don't know if it was the 1 seed or win the division, but they were basically the same. Might have been like 3 or 4% for winning the division. Very, very, very low. After the loss, I think we're down to 98% to make the playoffs. So, but you're right. I mean, look, the Seahawks are not, there are no guaranteed wins in the NFL. There just aren't. We could be playing the Panthers next week, and we could possibly lose that game. There are no guarantees, and the Seattle Seahawks have talented football players. So they got, bottom line, they got to shake it off, because it can be a little rattling to have a little momentum and to feel like you are the alpha and the big dog and you're going to show somebody and they punch you in the mouth hard. And, not letting that get to you too much. You got to come back swinging. And hopefully, having played Detroit, if you play that hard and that strong again, Seattle's good. They're not Detroit. And you take some of the lessons that you learned. I think it's good that they played a playoff team. We haven't had that in a while. Probably good for the Lions, too, to be honest with you, as much as they want to pretend that they're significantly better than the Packers. This was neck and neck the entire game. I think both teams are very similar. The offenses were able to push right through the defenses. The defenses were struggling to do much. I think by the end, both defenses were doing a pretty good job of stopping the run. Neither team could stop the pass. I mean, they were very, very similar. So, that was a good game for both of them. Sucks that they came out on top instead of us, but it is what it is. And look, that's playoff football. That's the effort that we need to be seeing, and just keep getting better. That's what they've been doing every game, and I don't know that this game wasn't even better than the last two games. And remember, as far as the offense did not take a step backwards. This might have been the most impressive performance by the offense when you factor in the score and who the opponent is. But 3 weeks in a row of just throwing up 30 points, that's a pretty rare thing. I mean, the Packers have had some good offenses. That's still, even for good offenses, that can be a little challenging to do 3 in a row. We got to get some stuff figured out with the defense, hopefully get some guys back healthy, make some adjustments for sure. And again, things are improving. I think the run defense is about as good a run defense as I've seen from a Packers team in a long time, but it seems to be at the expense of not having any answers for attack in the middle of the field. They seem to be putting their best receivers on our linebackers. And so whatever it is we're doing is allowing them to adjust into that situation. Miami had Tyreek Hill on our linebackers. They had Amon-Ra St. Brown on our linebackers. We cannot allow offenses to dictate that they can put their guys there. And I understand, I talked about this before, if you change everything up, it could be like the old Rubik's Cube, man. You got 8 of the 9 all set, but as soon as you try to get that last one, you start retwisting stuff, all of a sudden you're going backwards. So I don't know the answer. I'm not the defensive coordinator, but that obviously is a problem. Then and if we have to give up a little bit of run defense to stop the pass in the middle of the field, I don't know that it's even a question. We would need to go that direction.
Well, the one before was about disrespect. And we can get this. That last one was about respect. We better not let Love get the ball back. Hell of a game.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know the motivation or whatever, but I do think that there's something to that. I think it was a stupid decision by Dan Campbell to do it because, again, the odds of not converting, considering how much you struggled, were pretty high. And then, you have fluky things happen, like your quarterback falls down. We still couldn't stop it, but, bad decision. But look, there's only 2 ways of looking at this. Number one, Dan Campbell is aggressive to a fault, where he just can't turn down an opportunity to go for it on 4th, even when it makes him look stupid. And or the concern is our defense cannot stop Jordan Love. And even as difficult as it would be to have 30, 40 seconds, whatever it is, with no timeouts, I'm not going to chance it. We're going to keep this in our own hands and go try to win it right here. I don't know, but I will happily take your explanation of it and say that they were just terrified of Jordan Love. I'm more than happy to run with that, and for good reason. They're over here talking trash about Jordan Love. Love carved you up, stupid. What? Oh, he's mid. He's meh. Bro, what are you even talking about? He cut through your defense like it wasn't there. If he's meh, then your defense is atrocious.
Howdy, this is Jared, the Uber driver from Texas. Oh, dude, at least it was a good game. Hard-fought game. I'll take it. I will take that type of loss. And hey, I just want to remind everybody, when Brady won the Super Bowl with the Bucks, they lost to the Saints twice in the same season. Went on to beat them in their house.
There you go.
In the offseason, I think. Maybe it was their house. Hold on 1 second. Walking the dog. God, man. Look, I know you talked about the little bit of penalty stuff with this crew, but man, did they call a ticky-tacky penalty on Christian Watson. Now, I'm not saying that lost us the game, because we still tied in our defense to stop them, and maybe Devontae Wyatt should have realized the yardage, but he's just trying to make a tackle. I get it. But that Christian Watson penalty was so ticky-tacky. He honestly was I know he kind of bumped his shoulder into him, getting ready to get hit, but he's kind of protecting himself. So what the hell is that about? And then he kept running his route. He kept going afterwards. He was running a route. So it wasn't a pick play at all. But besides that, good game. There was also a big missed block in the back on one of the Detroit Lions' first couple of drives. But, beside that, great game from the Packers. I know a lot of scoring, but goddamn, we just need to learn to stop them on 4th down. I think I think we see them in the playoffs, their house. I think we leave them speechless. All right, go Pack, go. We'll have a mini bye week. Next it's going to be a 10-day break. Let's go. Reload. We got this. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, I think that's the exact right perspective on it. Look, those calls are bullcrap, and they sucked, and the referees sucked, and that's 100% correct. However, there's a lot to be excited about. Namely, they played good football against the best team in the NFL. So, and if you watched that game and thought the Packers can't beat that team, I don't know what the heck game you were watching. They absolutely could have. Like I said, put another minute on the clock and see what would have happened. So, and you also have to love the trajectory, because the fact of the matter is the Packers are obviously getting better. As much as, there's a lot of negativity about certain aspects of the team, I just think that there's way too much of that and just refusing to acknowledge some of the positives. I do want to start focusing on that. Tomorrow is going to be a lot of talking trash about the Lions a little bit. But after that, we absolutely gotta get her moving here, because there's a lot to get excited about, and also we obviously have to turn our attention to our next opponent. But look, I had somebody I just came across. I got to stop arguing with people on social media, but he started going in on, and this is what I don't like when I understand the negative fan thing, because I tend to lean in that direction, but it gets to be absurd when you have somebody like PFF posts something and it says, here are the top performers on the defense or whatever. And it's a nice post. And it's like, instead of saying, oh, wow, those guys did a good job, round of applause. Instead, because Rashawn Gary wasn't on it, was what a disappointment he's been, what a bust he is, or whatever the case is. And it's like, what are you doing? Why are we doing that? I don't understand. So anyways, I went and did a lot of digging, did some homework, and I found a lot of good information about him and several others. But, again, like I talked about, the run defense in that game was phenomenal. Lions' worst day of running of the entire season. Jahmyr Gibbs' worst game of his entire season. So that is a big deal for a team that has not had a good run defense in forever. On top of that, again, the offense, et cetera, et cetera. So the trajectory of the Packers, I'm a fan of. And the Lions, I don't know definitively that they're going in the wrong direction, but the injuries at the very least are a serious problem. I think they've one of the things I'll talk about tomorrow, a lot of 50-50 games, one-score games, which are very much luck-based, going in their favor. Whether that continues through the rest of the year or not is basically entirely still up to luck. But there's every reason to believe that they could face some serious problems moving forward. We'll see if their luck continues, and that's what it is when you win one-score games. But I don't know. I'm more or less with you. Not that I want to see the Lions in Detroit again, but I think it's, even right now, it's basically 50-50 who wins the game. And again, if the trajectory continues, I think the Packers will end up being better than them relatively soon.
Ryan, Henry from Minnesota. Was it actually a pick play?
No.
Because it looked like they just threw the flags when Jacobs caught it.
I agree.
That would change. That would turn the entire game, change everything. So it really seems like the refs engineered it for the bandwagon team to win. The Lions. Bye.
Well, I mean, look, the calls were terrible. There were numerous terrible calls, and they largely went in one direction. And I've speculated as far as I'm willing to speculate, which is, this team, and this was the case going into it. I don't remember if I said it or not, because I thought, it's a stupid thing, but maybe it's not. This crew very heavily favors the home team, and I will continue to watch that. I want to watch who their next week's game is, just out of curiosity, and see how the calls go. Because, listen, it's not impossible that their human nature gets in the way whether it's vanity for hearing the cheers of a good call or the fear of hearing the boos or some combination, I don't know. It's not impossible that they're much more willing to call something when it seems that it's in the home team's favor and not willing when it's in the other direction. Obviously not every time, but maybe there's just a little hesitance. If you're not sure, you tend to err on the side of the home team. Certainly not impossible. And again, when you're talking, the metric that is used, by the way, is because you say, well, the home team is usually the favorite, which not really, but maybe a little bit because of home field advantage. This is based on the spread. So this takes into account what is supposed to happen. So even if the home team is, a 20-point favorite or something, it doesn't really change the fact that those teams tend to overperform every single time that this crew is with them. And also some of the percentages of the calls tend to always heavily favor that team. So not a fan of having that crew while on the road, especially when it's a good team. That is seemingly suicide, but I don't know. All right, I guess we're already at break time, so why don't we take a break? We got Jared, the Uber driver, coming back at us. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
I completely forgot. This is Jared, the Uber driver from Texas.
What's up?
What about that gosh darn penalty? They called that penalty on Christian Watson, right? They're not going to call the push off by Amon-Ra St. Brown.
That was horrible.
For that nearly first down. Just saying, if you're going to call that, right?
That could have been the game, too.
It's
right
like that. I don't know. I'm not blaming the refs. It's just I want consistency. And I know we accidentally hit the line judge, but that's no reason not to call those penalties.
That's payback.
I think that's why Matt LaFleur was furious at some point with those penalties. But anyway, go Pack go. We're going to refuel, reload. We got this. I don't know how the season's going to end. Hopefully just wins throughout, get hot into the playoffs, and then we get ready for a run. I'm hoping for that, but we will see. Go Pack go.
Yeah, I mean, just agreeing with this and what you essentially said last time, which is we gotta keep going because the season's not over. I am largely encouraged by what we've been seeing recently. I like that they continue to improve. I like the offense. I like a lot of these things. But we don't know what direction this team is going to go. So far, they're going in the right direction. That doesn't mean that they can't start losing. I mean, if they lose to Seattle, we got to start having some conversations. You know what I mean? Not that it means that they're terrible, but it's becoming a problem. We're not winning, and the odds of the playoffs, went from 99 to 98 and down to who knows what it's going to be. We could check it, but depending on some of the other games, I don't know, 80% or something. Like it's getting to be panic time. So, let's reset and get ready because the Lions game is no longer what's important. I had said before the game, and I know it was probably not a super popular take, but I had said before the game, this game is borderline irrelevant. It doesn't really matter. It's more of a pride thing, and obviously it was a pride thing, and it certainly hurt my pride. But at the end of the day, it's just a freaking game that has no real playoff implications or anything else. Moving forward, those games matter. All right, we got a Vikings game that could determine 5th or 6th seed again. That's pretty minor, but there's also a pride factor in there. And then a bunch of other NFC teams that we got to make sure, if they start winning and we start losing, Seattle being one of them, that would be one of the teams if we start losing that would potentially start to encroach on our spot in the playoffs. So giving them a win while we give ourselves a loss. The Bears, not really a threat in the playoffs, but we got to get refocused. We got an extended week, and so there's extra time beginning today to start focusing on Seattle, find some tendencies, do some self-scouting. One of the things that I bring up tomorrow, Kurt Bankert actually observed it. You can go find it right now if you're curious, but he brought up a really interesting situation that is probably why Josh Myers failed the way that he did, because they exploited something that we were doing, and apparently we just never fixed it, and so it kept getting exploited. Stuff like that needs to be fixed. So work on some self-scouting, understand Seattle inside and out, and let's just beat the living crap out of them. All right, let's show like, okay, we're in the realm of Detroit. We're about that good. We are way better than teams like Seattle, and it's not close. And if you try to come near us, we're just going to beat the living crap out of you. That would be nice.
Last thing, I just realized, you know how we say good teams win, great teams cover? We covered the spread. Let's go. Go Pack, go.
Well, I don't know if that applies to the losing team, but it is a relevant thing to cover the spread. I don't know by how much. I'm guessing not by very much. I don't remember what the spread was, but it is another example of the Packers exceeding expectations, right? That's why, by the way, most of the national media is being honest about this and not saying, oh, I guess the Packers suck. The expectation was that the Lions win and by a certain margin, and that's not what happened. So now when we recalibrate, we don't recalibrate by putting the Packers down a notch. They get put up a notch because they continue to exceed expectations. Just finding positives, man. That's all. No big deal.
Hey, Ryan. Virgie's Benny. Bad enough I had to watch the game with a Bears fan. I got my friends in town. One of them's from Chicago. He's a big Bears fan, and then one of them's a Packers fan, so that was cool that he was there. But, you know, I'm not really that upset. It's just that, like, we had that. Like, if Watson doesn't fumble, we win that game, dude. I almost would have guaranteed it. And the Lions got away with everything. And you know what, dude? Fine. That's fine, man. This game is fine. Like, we're fine. The defense is terrible, man. Like, something's got to be done. Halfley's not it, man. He just didn't have it, dude. Like, we basically surrendered. Like, we basically just said, yeah, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, he's not going to do anything, but we're going to let some bum named Tim Patrick get all these freaking touchdowns and passing yards. Like, this is so stupid. That was so dumb, and I can't even believe that, man. Like, we had control of the game. Man, and when Nixon picked that off, that was awesome. I was so happy, man. But really, they just, Goff did what he does. He dinks and dunks, man. And I felt like we kind of held the running game at bay for the most part, other than in the red zone, which is like so obvious what they're going to do. And, man, I just don't get it, man. Like, LaFleur just didn't have him prepared. Again, it's just one of those things. LaFleur is such a fraud, man. But you cannot come into this game, like, looking like this. Like, you have to score right away, man. Like, you have to be better than that. And Jacobs only had, like, 18 touches. That's terrible, man. He's got to have at least...
I just want to jump in on a couple of these. I don't know if Halfley's a guy or not. I think it's way too early to call it that. I think that they've been navigating a lot of different changes. It's first year in the system, and then on top of that, trying to figure out who does what. We got a lot of guys that are struggling with this system, especially our defensive line. Rashawn Gary is just starting to pick it up. We've got a bunch of new guys like Mosby and Brenton Cox. We had Edgerrin Cooper, who wasn't a big piece, found out he was really good, became a big piece. Then he got hurt, had to go out. Jair Alexander's out. We've lost other guys like Ballantyne and whatnot. We had a safety rotation. We had Bullard early, found out that Evan Williams was really good, put him at safety. Then we found out Keyshawn is actually pretty good at corner because he had to at boundary, which he was forced to do because of injury. So he went out to boundary, and Bullard went into the slot. And even though Bullard isn't very good in the slot or really anywhere because he's just not a good football player right now, we just decided to keep it that way. Then Evan Williams started to tank a little bit. It's been a lot of ebbs and flows and trying to figure things out. And again, it's not all bad. I think the run defense has taken massive strides. They are now, I think, one of the better run defending teams in football. I think the coverage has actually been quite fantastic from the boundary guys and the safeties. They just have really been getting eaten up in the middle of the field. It's not saying it's okay, but I'm also just pointing out that it's not just everything is bad across the board. I also don't think Matt LaFleur necessarily did anything wrong. They didn't start early with the scoring because they started with a sack, which sucks. But they scored over 30. They scored more points against the Lions than any team this entire year. So I don't know about all that necessarily. I certainly don't think Matt LaFleur is a fraud. He's one of the winningest coaches in NFL history, and it's not because he's being dragged around by Aaron Rodgers. That excuse is now gone, and even Jordan Love has probably had more to bad games than good games at this point in his career. So I'm not super on board with that either. It was a 3-point loss to the best team in football, and if they had one more possession, I think the Packers win the game. Or just any one of these penalties go a different direction, or if Jordan, like I said, throws that wide open touchdown instead of just running for it, that's 4 more points. The Lions would have to get a touchdown instead of a field goal. That could have absolutely changed things. A lot of things could have, would have, should have been different, but I don't think that this was a team that was ill prepared. I think that they fought really hard and played quite well, and just did not come out on top, especially when some things should have gone in their direction and didn't. They actually should have had more points, and the Lions should have had less points, because the scoring was kind of nonsense based on some of the penalties. But yeah, I understand the frustration. I wouldn't crank it all the way up to 11.
25 in that game. And granted, our O-line was just terrible. How? It was like a second string, third string D-line. That's pathetic, man. That's really pathetic, and we should be concerned. We really should be concerned now. And now we're going to go into Seattle and expect that we can do anything? Come on, man. But
well, why wouldn't you think we could do anything? Seattle is a significantly worse team than Detroit, and again, we lost by 3. I understand the offensive line thing, and again, listen to tomorrow's podcast, or just go find Kurt Bankert. He did a whole video on it, and it does come down to coaching. Essentially, they were able to exploit something, and we didn't adjust for it. And it really just comes down to, quite simply, they on third down especially, they take way too long to get the snap off. And because of the way that they do their count, as opposed to, other varying ways like the guard touching him or whatever, essentially he looks between his legs. Jordan does the whole lifting his leg thing, and, sometimes it's a fake, sometimes it's not. But when the clock's running out, Jordan does a little leg lift, and essentially what he's coached, he was put on top of the freaking ball. As soon as that center starts to lift his head, you go. And so you can see in the video, by the time the ball gets to Jordan Love, the defender, I'm not even kidding, the defender is halfway to Jordan Love, and Josh Myers is turned 90 degrees trying to stop this guy. So Myers didn't necessarily do anything wrong. There was a schematic problem. They got to get the plays in faster. They got to work the counts a little bit differently so that you can actually maybe get a dummy count in there, at least one, so that they're not able to just key off immediately on you. But I think that was the biggest thing, and it makes sense because, like I said, we had 3 offensive linemen that had either perfectly adequate days, in other words, they played like they usually do, or actually above average days for them. But 2 guys really struggled, especially the center. Guess where that guy lined up? He lined up over the center, shaded slightly to Sean Ryan's side. And that was just one play. I don't know every single time. But that was a very serious issue that was exploited, and it needs to get fixed. But it can very easily get fixed. I shouldn't say easily, but it's not a deficiency in talent. It's a thing no different than when the Packers blocked that kick or when the Chiefs blocked that kick. They noticed a deficiency and they exploited it. And that's what teams do, and that's what Detroit needed to do because they were so down in talent. It's not like they had, which is what my assumption was too, which maybe was a little silly on my part. The assumption was those really awful, terrible, no good defensive linemen were better and more talented than our really quite talented pass blocking offensive line. That's obviously nonsense. The Detroit Lions just put them in a better position to succeed on some plays. There were a lot of times when that wasn't the case. We ran the ball fine and Jordan had plenty of time and we executed through the air quite easily. And maybe they even did make the adjustment later in the game and that's why we didn't see it quite as much. I don't know. But am I scared? I mean, I'm scared as much as any game because as far as I'm concerned, most games come down to 50-50. It maybe 55-45, maybe even 60-40. But there's no 95% games. None. Not a single one. And if you tried to put those odds, you would have so much money pouring in on those odds on the 5%, and you would end up losing a ton of money because it's never 95%. So I'm not more nervous. I think the biggest thing I'm nervous about, again, is the linebacker issue. It's not working. I don't know what you got to do about it, but Quay Walker and especially Isaiah McDuffie the last 2 weeks have been absolutely eviscerated by receivers. We have had Tyreek Hill and Amon-Ra St. Brown being covered across the middle of the field by linebackers way too many times. And that needs to be adjusted because every team will be able to do that if they can manipulate it in such a way that their best receiver can be on a linebacker that's not very good at coverage. And even if he is, it doesn't matter because it's a freaking wide receiver. It's going to be successful most of the time. But, these are not, there's been a lot of evolution over the course of the year. They're going to continue to evolve. In my opinion, they've been evolving in the correct direction. Quay Walker had his third really good run defense game in a row. Rashawn continues to be a really solid player for us. Kenny had kind of his second good game in a row, by far his best game, kind of just was the main reason the run defense was as good as it was. There's a lot of positives. But like every game, every team, there's stuff to be cleaned up. I mean, if the Lions think that they played perfectly, that's nonsense. Why could they not stop the Packers to save their lives? I'm just saying.
At the same time, I feel like we could probably let them get their hopes up. Good job, Lions. Good job, guys. You guys cheated because the refs were in your back pocket all day. That must be nice, but come playoff times, not going to be that way. So, you know what? I don't care, dude. Let's just go. Let's just win out, man. Who cares about anything else, dude? The Lions will lose to the Bills. Go, Pack, go.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in a good spot. I think that is the toughest game we're going to play all year. I think we got the best version of the Lions even compared to last time. We were kind of close to beating them. Not really, but I think if this version of the Packers played that game again, this version of the Packers would beat them. So the point is you just have to show up like you did in this game. If you could be better, that'd be great. But this version of the Packers that lost by 3 to the Lions is going to win out the rest of the season, even with no improvements. But again, hopefully they do improve. Hopefully the health trends in the right direction as opposed to the wrong direction. But you never know. You never know from week to week. We learn something new every week, and we just got to roll with it. We'll see what the Packers bring us next week. Let's take our final break. We got Nico and some more beer, cheese, Benny.
Well, the game just ended. This is Nico. I mean, it's a bummer we didn't win, of course. But if you're going to lose to a game at the end of the season where it doesn't really matter, like just honestly, there's no chance the Packers are going to win the division. There's probably no chance they're even past the Vikings. It doesn't matter, though, because it just matters about winning when you're in the playoffs. So they're most likely going to be in the playoffs. So they didn't need to win it. I mean, I get it. It's a bummer that they lost. But I mean, they put up a good fight. They didn't play very good still and almost won. I will say this, even my son, who isn't a huge football fan, said that they had a Lions-gasm going on with all they talked about all freaking night was how good the Lions are and how they came from nowhere and blah, blah, blah. Oh my gosh. So I don't know, I think if we just win the games we need to, a lot has been said recently too on winning too much in the end, and maybe there's something to say about that. Sometimes you go into the playoffs too overconfident, and that goes against you. So
yeah.
But if we do end up playing the Lions in the playoffs, which there's a good chance we might, I would rather them have won us, have beaten us, because then they'll probably feel overconfident, and that can be a bad thing. So it is what it is. We didn't play horrible. There was mistakes. Obviously, Christian Watson shouldn't have fumbled that ball, yeah. But it was a decent game. But I'm going to go back inside because it's a little cold outside. So go back up.
Yeah, the Lions need to be humbled. If they go on to beat the Buffalo Bills, I mean, they might just win out. They are potentially, I'm not going to say that this is officially my position, but potentially they remind me of the Carolina Panthers when they went to the Super Bowl that year. And I've said this before. They were a team that were riding real high on their emotions. The Lions have always been an emotional team, much like the Panthers were, largely because their quarterback is unbelievably emotional. Remember when they're up and running, he's a really good quarterback, and then when things are going wrong, he hides his head under his towel the whole time and pouts. So they were an unbelievably emotional team. This team has always been emotion. It's always been about feeling. It's always been about, come on, men, nobody's going to believe in you, and we can do this. Let's go. And so now they've reached sort of the pinnacle. And they're riding high because they haven't really lost. They lost one game a century ago, as far as everybody's concerned. Nobody remembers the last time the Lions lost a game. So they need to get punched in the mouth real hard. If Buffalo could do me a favor and win by more than a single score, that would be fantastic. If it's 9 points or more, I would be overjoyed, because I mean, probably not, but there is a chance that, once that bubble bursts, once that seal is broken, you can start to see them, they're not invincible anymore, and they know that they're not invincible. They learn that a god king can bleed, kind of thing, you know what I mean? But somebody's got to do it, because they have gotten way too confident, way too cocky, and to your point, maybe that is a good thing. They ride into the playoffs like that, but I also think it's like a shield of protection for them, and I think that they're playing at a high level because they feel invincible and they feel unstoppable. And when that goes away, there's a chance that things could start to spiral. And I just in my opinion, that needs to happen. Somebody's got to pop the frickin' bubble.
Hey, Birchie's Benny here. The reason I say I'm not too worried is because I know how this goes, man. I know how this goes. And I was listening to Packernet podcast with Andy Herman, and he was talking about, what if they lose but they have a good game, and it's just a motivating factor for them to beat them in the playoffs. And I think that I just kind of have to feel that's what's going to happen, or the Lions will lose to somebody else. I don't know. I think we're fine, man. It wasn't great, and we should not. We should have just won, man. Straight up, we should have won by about 10 points. But I don't know, dude. It's almost like Jordan didn't know that he was gonna get blitzed, and then when he was, they couldn't pick up the blitzes. The O-line or nobody could pick up the blitzes, and this has got to stop, man. How do you not know that's what they're going to do? They're...
Well, let's pause here. First of all, they did largely pick up the blitzes. I went over the stats on this again. I know these calls are coming in prior to. They blitzed beyond a season. It was unbelievable how much they blitzed. They blitzed more than anybody has blitzed ever, basically. They blitzed 65% of the time, I think, and Jordan was pressured less than 35% of the time, meaning they picked up a ton of blitzes. Beyond that, I mean, I don't want to give the characterization that Jordan struggled a lot with the blitzes, because he really didn't. I was upset with him early in the game, and obviously that touchdown that was there just irks me. But PFF said he had his best game. I think there was a lot behind that. Some of his best throws of the season were in this game. He's a little slow out of the gate, but really part of the issue with this is they had no possessions. And when they did, there were very few. People look at it and how do you carry the ball only 18 times? Because they hardly ever had the ball. And part of it was bad and part of it was good. Part of it was, you go 3 and out in the first series, 3 and out in the second series. You're not getting a lot of opportunities. Also, when you get the ball back, you get it at the 30, and in 4 plays, you're in the end zone. That's not a lot of plays. So you don't get caught up on how many plays they ran total. That's not really the deciding factor here. Because there were less opportunities, there were less rushes, there were also less passes, which means less yards. Don't worry about that. Worry about the execution, and I think the Packers' execution was quite good. They did struggle a lot with picking up the blitz, and again, I mean, you called about that before. I'll say it again. That was largely an issue with just rushing, beating the snap count and getting past the center before he could even stand up. And that is not something that has happened really all year. The Lions were somehow able to exploit it. Now that it's on tape, not only can other people see it, but hopefully the Packers can see it and correct it. Somebody had that in their back pocket and they pulled that card, and hopefully that will never be used again, because they're going to, you can't stop it every time. Sometimes it's going to be down to the wire, and I think the Packers and everybody else needs to take note of that. If a team is getting it down to the wire, get somebody right on the nose of that guy and be ready for that snap. But, again, take a step back. Very, very close game. It's not like they couldn't do anything. They did a lot of things.
End of season, like, people scout this stuff. Like, come on, man. You've got to have better plays called up for this kind of stuff. This cannot be the case, man. Truly pathetic. And then, of course, the Lions get every no call or phantom call. I mean, we literally, like, that, what was it? The Jacobs touchdown where Watson was called for some bullcrap. And then, like, the touchdown that, dude, I'm so discombobulated right now. I'm so pissed off about how stupid that game was officiated. Like, dude, whatever. I don't care. And it's funny because I was listening to all these podcasts. They're talking about how, like, well, this, and maybe it was you. I don't even know if it was your podcast. We were talking about, you know, like how this officiating crew was like, they don't call a whole lot. And then all of a sudden, like, they just call a bunch of stuff on us. Or they don't, I mean, they didn't call, like, the...
A lot of not calling on the Lions, for sure.
So obvious stuff. It's so bullcrap, dude. You know, and, you know, my buddy was saying, too, it was like, when we were, like, looking at the... You know, the thing that Matt LaFleur challenged, which was so stupid, by the way. Why would you challenge that? That was so dumb.
I don't know why you did that.
He was talking about, like, you know what? Like, we just need to start having automated technology to, like, know where the first down is or whatever. And, like, and then it'll just tell the refs that they got it or they didn't. But, you know, I'm just so pissed off, Ryan. I'm going to call in tomorrow and a couple other times this week, probably. Anyways, no Paco.
Well, I have to assume, like the rest of us, you're calling in on the day and you're super pissed off. And hopefully, like most of us, over time, that goes away and can feel a little bit better about the situation. Because, again, I mean, you're half right about everything. I just think everything's getting a little exaggerated. And sometimes you got to sit back and actually look at the stats, look at the game, look at the score, and realize it wasn't as, I mean, if I had just listened to your call without having watched the game, I would have assumed the Packers lost by about 25 points.
You know what? Right before I go to bed, Brian, I'm fucking pissed. I'm absolutely freaking pissed. Because, you know what, dude? The Packers are in shambles right now. Okay, their defense and their defensive coordinator can't figure it the frick out after they look totally fine the last two games. How the hell does this happen? Like, this team can't be any much better than anyone else. Come on, dude. The Lions and the refs were in their back pocket all day. I'm literally so pissed about it, dude.
Well, let's try to reconcile these things, because saying that the Packers are in shambles and the Packers are not better than anybody, but also the Lions had the refs in their back pocket and the Packers lost by 3. I mean, essentially, if the refs called it fairly, you would have to assume that we would have won the game. So I don't fully understand how we could also be in shambles and we're just as bad as everybody else out there that apparently is bad. I don't know. I don't know that those two things really fit very well together.
I'm so pissed about it, dude. I'm very, very pissed about it, dude.
I know. I know.
I'm not dealing with this. And you know what? It's fine. Let the Lions have it. Let them have it, dude, because it doesn't matter. Like I've learned, is this game doesn't mean a whole lot to us because we're still going to make the playoffs, dude. And you know what? We didn't peak at the right time yet. We haven't peaked yet. We really haven't, dude. Just wait. Just you freaking wait, you morons. You freaking moron, national media. You're going to say, oh, the Lions are the best team. The Eagles are the best team. Just wait for the Pack attack, bro. Just freaking wait. It's going to happen, bro. And you know what? I know the defense didn't look very great, but I'm also freaking pissed. They had freaking like 16 players on defense or whatever the hell. They had basically third stringers. That's terrible, man. You cannot let that happen, dude. That's got to just be a total terrible feeling going back. I mean, what a joke. Everyone's laughing at us right now, by the way. You realize that, right? People are laughing at us. They're saying, oh, wow, Green Bay couldn't even freaking beat a team that had third stringers and freaking morons and idiots. Come on, man. We should have scored on every drive. Every time we had the...
All right. First of all, and I'm going to work on this tomorrow, not your podcast tomorrow, but your podcast in 2 days, I guess. It is not my perception right now that everybody's laughing at us. Not even close. And I don't know what they would be laughing about. Lions fans are, of course, because they're obnoxious douchebags, and Bears and Vikings fans probably because they're also obnoxious douchebags. But that's not relevant. The point is the national media watched this game and realized that these two teams are basically on the same level. It was, again, 3-point game, and from what I've seen, it is almost entirely praise for the Green Bay Packers. So I don't think that that's correct at all. I think that you're assuming that that's the case, and it's just not. And let's just clear up, we should have scored on every drive. That's not a thing. It's not a thing.
On offense, we should have scored. That is absolutely 100% moronic. And LaFleur and Senovich need to answer for this. This is total bullcrap, dude.
I don't know what they did wrong. I don't know. Maybe this is a call from a couple of weeks ago. I don't understand.
Okay. But again, like I said earlier, what this is going to do, it's going to help our team propel us, and it's only going to make us better. Okay? We nearly beat them, and I will admit, their offense is pretty good, but they can't be that good. There's no way, dude. Halfley, figure it out. LaFleur, get your head out of your ass, man. This is total bullshit. I don't know what else to say other than go Pack go to the Super Bowl. That's what this means.
I don't know what you mean by they can't be this good. Why not? They're this good against everybody. They scored 54 points twice. They got to, 34 against us? It was like their 5th or 6th highest scoring game of the season. And as far as this good, again, they have a very good defense, and we put up over 30 points on them. So, yeah, I think the Lions are that good, and very close game, which to me means we are very close to a very good team. Other perspectives are that we lost, therefore we are nowhere near as good as they are. We're garbage, and they're elite, and I don't understand that. With that said, to be clear so that I'm not just picking on you here, Beer Cheese, almost everything you said is something that I said at some point during the game. Why can't you frickin' block? Why can't you stop them passing? Why you letting them get every frickin' 4th down, making that jag-off look like a genius? I'm with you. I'm just saying, upon reflection, let's not. You know what I mean? Let's not crank it up to 11, because I don't think we need to be living at 11.
Daddy!
I don't know.
Late. Man,
I thought I lost you.
I really loved that effort tonight. Lost some key players, Williams going down, Bullard going down, whoever else. But it is so hard to beat a team 3 times in the season. And I thought in the second half, we showed some grit. I wish our defense would have been a little bit stronger, but at the same time, there was a 4th down stop. There was a turnover. And Detroit is as good of a team as there could be in the league. And as much as I can't stand Dan Campbell with his consistent chew in his mouth, I respect the goodness out of him and their squad. And I love that at the end of that game, every time they were doing a play, they were doing the Packers celebration in a mock with the hand swipe. And I think that means something. And if we get them again, I truly believe that we have a legit shot to do it. Anyway, that was a really, really, really strong football game. Really good teams playing, and Detroit's only lost once, and we were right there. And I can't wait to break their hearts at the end of January and scream to everybody on this darn podcast.
And sorry for swearing earlier in the day. That's it. Golly, let's be encouraged instead of discouraged. I thought Jordan played great. I thought Jacobs same way. I mean, defense-wise, like Quay was a little off early, a little aggressive as he normally is, but kind of dialed it in. Blah, 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 blah. There's something here, man. There's something here. And it may equate to nothing, but at the same time, it could equate to something really, really cool. And I'm in that camp. So, anyway, we march.
Yeah, I mean, if we zoom all the way out, there are going to be, 10 good teams in the NFL by the time it's all said and done. Usually there's, how many teams are there? There's, 14 teams or something like that go to the playoffs. No, it's more than that. No, it's 14 teams. I was right. 14 teams that go to the playoffs, and usually a couple of them, congrats, maybe next year kind of thing, but I don't think it's your year. But here's the deal. The Packers are in that camp of, it wouldn't be my pick, but they could win it. There's only going to be one or two, maybe three teams that you look at and go, man, that really is a Super Bowl caliber team. And even that is a stupid way to say it. In other words, this is the best team, and I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. First of all, as I've said before, even if you tell me they're not as good as the Lions, listen, if your happiness with football, if my happiness with football is basically either you're the number one team in football or you're a pile of crap, I'm sorry to tell you, I wish I didn't have to admit it, the Lions are the best team in football. They just are. So being marginally worse than the best team in football means what? Means what? Second best, third best, fifth best? Are you going to cry about it? Seriously. And here's the other thing. If we were the number one team in football, there have been several times over the last 10 years or more, 15 years, that I have said we are the best team in football. You know how many times we've won the Super Bowl those years? Zero. In my lifetime, 1996 would have been the only time ever that I've said we're the best team in football, and we ended up winning the Super Bowl. 2010, we were not at all the best team in football. 2011, 2009, you could argue we didn't win. 2011, I think most people would have said we didn't win. 2012, 2014, 2020, for sure. Even last year, I think you could argue about the way that they were playing. They were certainly one of the top teams, arguably the best in the NFC. But what does it matter? What does it even matter? Would that make you feel that much better? I mean, maybe a little bit. If you're the best team as opposed to the third or fourth or fifth best team. Well, of course. But only one team can be the best team. And then the number two team is the number two team. The number three team is the number three team. The number four team is the number four team. And at the end of the day, it doesn't freaking matter because you got to show up and you got to win. And you have to be undefeated through the playoffs and in the Super Bowl in order to win the Super Bowl. And that's really hard to do. That's why almost nobody ever does it. That's where we're at. We're going to be in the show. We're probably not going to be the best team. It doesn't matter because they don't give you a trophy for being the most talented. You still have to get through the playoffs. Most of the time, that team does not get through and win the Super Bowl. And yes, I'm talking about the Chiefs. Sometimes you could argue they're the best team, but most of the time I'm looking at it, like last year, Baltimore was better than they were. Didn't matter, though. Baltimore lost to the Chiefs. Right now, I would say Baltimore and Buffalo and Detroit and Philadelphia, probably the Packers. A lot of teams are better than the Chiefs, but guess what? Chiefs are still probably going to win this freaking Super Bowl. It is what it is. Let's just face that reality. And then if that reality changes, if we start losing a bunch of games, then we can start to panic about not being in it. But as of right now, the picture appears to be we're going to the playoffs. We're not going to be the number one team, but we're going to be one of the top teams, and we'll see what happens. And please understand that like every single team in the NFL, like every single team in the playoffs, your odds of winning the Super Bowl are low. Do you know why? Because there's 14 frickin' teams, and the odds of you being the top out of 14 is low. Because that's what 1 in 14 is, even if you're one of the better teams. That's just the reality. You're never going to get a perfect Packers team. You're never going to get a perfect coaching outing. You're never going to get a perfect GM. You're never going to get a perfect quarterback. You're never going to get a perfect offensive line. You're going to see mistakes and all this kind of crap. And you know what? Every other team is going through it too. So stop expecting to be the only perfect team in the NFL. That's not going to happen. Teams are going to play. Teams are going to play poorly. Teams are going to lose. Other teams are going to be very talented. They're going to win through the regular season. They're going to get into the postseason. Everyone's going to be talking about them. They're going to get their teeth knocked down their throat, and they're done. Buffalo's been maybe the best team in football for almost, 4 or 5 years now? For what? They have been by far a top 5 team for about 5 years. I don't know if it's 5 exactly, but 4, whatever it is. Easily top 5. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference. They can't do anything in the playoffs. So what is it that's going to make you feel better? Do we have to be the best team for you to feel good? And then even then, be completely honest with me. If we were the number 1 team in football right now, what would you be saying about our odds in the postseason? You wouldn't be happy about it. So if you're not happy about, not being number 1, and you wouldn't be happy if we were number 1, you're just never going to be happy. So this is where we get to the point where we start to say the same thing we say every year, which is I have to be able to find some level of joy in this season. And the fact that we are 9-4 and haven't found joy yet is appalling. We haven't even lost a game. This is the other side of the coin. It's like, you beat all the bad teams, but you don't beat the good teams or whatever. Here's the other side of that coin. We haven't lost to a single team that doesn't currently have a 10-win record. Everybody we lost to is one of the top teams in football. Not one other team. Not one decent team, mediocre team, bad team. Not one of them has beaten the Green Bay Packers. And we have found zero joy in this season. I'm going to need your help. I'm going to need you to... We're going to need some accountability partners here. Because I'm kind of pissed at myself right now. The amount of stress and anxiety and whining and pissing and moaning. Not to say that there aren't, on some level you analyze things and some things are good and some things are bad or whatever. But being angry about good things and being angry about phantom things and sometimes just being angry about stuff that we don't even understand. I think we have to really honestly ask, what is a serious expectation, a realistic expectation for your team? And honestly, the fact that we by default assume you have to be the best team in football or one of the best, no, by default, you are a mediocre team that misses the playoffs. That's the default, and we never fall to that level. To this day, we remain one of the most successful franchises in the last 30-some-odd years. And I can already hear somebody off in the distance say, what about the Super Bowls? Get out of here. Go away. I don't want to hear from you anymore. I've already said, if you're not going to be happy with anything but Super Bowls, then go away. Just come back in February. It's like me watching baseball or basketball. If the Bucks made it to the final game, I'd turn it on. Otherwise, I don't care. Some of you need to start doing that with the Packers. Don't watch it. Don't listen. Don't find out anything. Don't learn anything. Just wait for somebody to tell you, hey, did you hear the Packers are in the Super Bowl? And then you can either choose to turn it on and watch it, which there's a 50% chance you're going to be completely miserable and piss and whine. I don't know why piss is a thing. That seems really not like a thing that should be brought into that conversation, but it feels good to say it. It's real punchy. Piss and moan and freaking fuss, and none of the words have the same punch, so we got to keep that one in there. I don't understand it, but we got to keep it in there. Better off, just wait until you find out the Packers win, right? You might be disappointed because, I didn't see it. Yeah, but you don't want to see it. You don't want to see what it takes to win a Super Bowl. You don't want to see the grind of it all, the absolute agony that it takes to be a fan that's been through the highs and the lows and to actually cherish something as rare as winning the Super Bowl. No, we got to take it for granted and be pissed because we don't have like 5 of them. Good Lord. So, listen, I honestly, I'm genuinely happy because most people have a much better perspective than me and Beer Cheese Benny when this game happened. I was pissed. You heard it on the podcast. He's pissed. I'm genuinely shocked but thrilled. I thought it would be mostly screaming about how bad the refs are, and then a smattering of like being pissed that the Packers are not good, and that would mostly be it. It's by and large been a lot of like, I'm proud of this team type stuff, which shocks me, but it makes me proud. You're all better than me. I'm so happy that you're all better than me. So I'm the worst part of my day, not you people. Thank you for that. All right. Well, you know what time it is. Listen, I talked about it yesterday. If you didn't hear it, you should probably go back and check it out. There's a battle going on right now between Saint Nick and Santa Claus. And I know you thought they were the same person, but turns out they're not. They're not the same person. They are similar origins, right? But not the same. At some point, they split. And when they split, you got two individual persons. You got Saint Nick and you got Santa Claus. And I'll be honest, we went through this whole thing, and I go on X, and I see that they like uncovered what they believe to be the tomb of Saint Nick. And I'm like, first of all, why is it a tomb under the ground? Like you're freaking me out. Like they're excavating it. It wasn't that long ago, was it? Wasn't there just like a grave site? I don't know. But I just immediately started thinking like, dude, he's coming back. He is coming back to haunt us all. But he dropped some serious bars yesterday. He is not a fan of Santa Claus. He's the OG Saint Nick, and he let us all know. But Santa Claus ain't going to take it laying down. So we got a, I don't know what you call it, a response thing. I'm not into the whole rap beef deal, but I'm in it. I'm in the middle of it. In fact, they send me the audio. They're like, you play this on your very popular radio station because I want the world to know, screw that guy. So here we go. Santa Claus firing back. Have a good night.
Hey, yo, you had your say, old man. Guess it's my turn to speak. You talking that ancient code. I'm talking centuries deep. Global presence, worldwide reach. Santa Claus on the mic, no frontin'. You claim roots and crack cathedrals. Yeah, that's quaint and all, but I'm the household name that kids are waiting every hall. While you kneel in dark corners, I light entire scenes. From LA blocks to Euro squares, they know what Santa means. You call me a product, say I'm trapped by their greed, but I'm universal hope, the red suit they truly need. They ain't whispering your name, it's my name on their lips. My story's so colossal, got whole nations doing flips. You drop coins in old boots, I drop wonder and delight. Your legacy's niche history, I'm the king of Christmas night. You claim I'm just a puppet, I'm the one they adore. Kids dreaming in their beds, hearts open like a door. December 25th, my throne is set in steel. Your December 6th fades while my presence is real. You claim I'm just a puppet, I'm the one they adore. Kids dreaming in their beds, hearts open like a door. December 25th, my throne is set in steel. Your December 6th fades while my presence is real. You talk about truth, old scrolls and chapel hush. I bring laughter and unity when the world's in a rush. You see phony lights in my eyes, nah, that's global reflection. You a relic from the past, I'm the modern connection. Check the scoreboard, my face on mugs, sweater songs. The whole planet vibing with me, I've been crowned all along. Sure, I got ads and sales, but there's joy beneath that fur. While you stuck in dusty annals, I'm the brand they prefer. You can't touch my scale, my route spans continents wide. While you stay locked in lore, I'm rolling deep with pride. Keep talking that old truth, I'm the dream they choose. In every language they chant my name, you destined to lose. Your quiet devotion, I bring warmth and cheer. I'm a legend in their homes, your echo disappears. You spit in commerce, but can't deny how I reign supreme. I'm that Coca-Cola icon, woven into the dream. You claim I'm hollow, now this spirit runs through time. From low-income hoods to castle halls, they recite my rhyme. Rethink your grudge, my myth evolves with each year. You stuck in old stories that fewer and fewer hear. You said I'm a Caesar mirage. Well, check that globe you forgot. My face beams in neon and candlelight spots. I transcend your dusty shrines, break cultural locks. From street corners to offices, hang my image in flocks. You a saint of subtle charity, I'm generosity's brand. I feed imaginations, unite child and man. No more frontin', I'm the icon they refuse to discard. You cling to purity, I'm living large and in charge. Talk your talk, but the truth is as clear as the snow. Santa's legacy unfading while your candle burns low. Don't mistake my fame for hollow noises, love a mass. I fill dreams in stockings while your memory might pass. You can preach old roots, I deliver steady delight. I'm Santa Claus, global legend, forever in the light.